Hello, welcome to CLSB Politics. Sean Briscoe speaking. So, we've decided to bomb Iran. Got some notes on that. I've been watching pretty much the news for the last 24 hours. And this is my show, Trump versus Iran. Uh, as a Gen X, my generation fought a war that lasted 6 times longer than World War II. Seen this story before, but I just thought I'd like to kind of give you guys my take on it and where I think it's headed. So here we go. Why did Trump do it? That's really the big question. Is like, what's Trump up to? What's he doing? And going through that bag of cats is pretty hard. So I think he wants to be a wartime president. He said as much. He also, and I was actually doing a show on this fact before he blew up Iran. He's underwater in 15 states he won 6 months ago. And you got to understand, the only way Trump stays at the level of power that he's trying to stay at is if Congress stays in lockstep with him. Because we do have equal, we have three pillars of government. We've got the executive, the judicial, and the legislative. Now, he can do a lot with the judicial, but he needs the legislative. And if those guys turn on him, if they see that he's not only not worth the 3 points they've been leaning on every presidential cycle to win anything, he's also if he's dead weight, if he's pulling them down, if he's costing them 5 or 6 points, well, 5 or 6 points turn some of those lean Republicans into lean Democrat districts pretty quick. And in my previous video, I talked about how it's about, there's 60 seats. There's 20 that are lean Republican, 20 that are kind of 50-50, and 20 that are lean Democrat. Well, if that middle part moves over and all of a sudden there's a bunch of states that were lean Republican turn into 50-50 toss-up, well, that's pretty rough. And could be, and one thing these congressional reps don't want to do is lose their seats. Very important. You understand, they raise money 24/7 to hold on to this power. And they're going to let some schmo who's going to be out of office in 3 years do anything about that. So, I mean, they're going to let him walk all over him. It's not going to happen. Trump has said, and he ran on the fact that he doesn't want a protracted war. But if Trump gets to be a wartime president, it'll feed his ego. And at the end of the day, as we saw with Bush too, the wartime president gets a lot of leeway with the electorate and, more importantly, the legislative branch. We gave a lot of power to Bush after 9/11. And as predicted, we are going to be paying for that for my entire life. Just real quick to remind everybody, this is the 2003 argument to go to war. The Iraq War won't cost a lot of money. We won't need a lot of troops. We will bring peace and freedom to Iraq. We'll find the WMDs. We'll be welcomed as liberators. It'll be easy. It won't take long. All this was just complete total BS, So I just want to remind everyone what we were told in 2003. It's been 22 years, and sometimes we forget. But and we're 24 hours into this, as we continue to see that Iran, for one, I'm going to address this in a little bit later in this video, is not going to capitulate and get on one knee to Trump of all freaking people. Break. This is totally whatever. But anyway, this was an important little reminder of 2003. What is Israel's goal? Well, regime change. That's their goal. That's been their goal forever. Keep Iran from getting a nuclear bomb. Absolutely. They've said that repeatedly. And Bibi, there's literally nothing left in Gaza to blow up. He's blown up everything in Gaza, and it's now starting to work against him. What he needs is another protracted war to stay in office. So that's what he's up to. We know what Bibi's game is. it's been the same game he's been rolling for over 2 decades. So, yeah, this is not this. He's the easiest one to figure out. Found this little gift. It's hard to focus on Israel's airstrikes in Lebanon due to Israel's invasion of Syria, which is hard to focus on due to Israelis' atrocities in the West Bank, which is hard to focus on due to Israelis' genocide in Gaza, which is hard to focus on Israeli war on Iran. You see, this is I mean, if you get one or two of these and there's huge breaks in the middle, you can still kind of maybe draw a line between the two. But I'm sorry. At this point, you know what I mean? So, yeah. What are the U.S. goals? Well, they're going to be everything that Israel just said, regime change, keeping Iran from being a nuclear bomb, and keeping Bibi in office. Because we've given over all of our huge major foreign policy to a foreign power. Now, we can say we're not into regime change all day long, because actually there's a couple of legal problems we get into if we're trying to overthrow another government. That's why we usually use the CIA. We don't use the army unless, a true declaration of war has been called. So we're doing with whatever Israel says is the policy, right? That's how this is going to work in reality. Whatever's going to come out of the mouths of Trump and his little cronies is whatever. But at the end of the day, we've handed over a huge foreign policy to a foreign power that none of us bothered to even vote because we couldn't, So, yeah, that's kind of where that's at. What's Iran doing? Well, their foreign minister is headed to Russia today. You got to understand, guys, Iran's been one of the largest supplier of armaments to Russia for the last 3 years. Every drone, well, not every drone, but the vast majority of the drones have come out of Iran. And only recently has Russia started manufacturing those very same Iranian drones. So Iran and Russia are together in this 100%. Now, the problem is Putin can't really afford to really get he can't, I mean, they're busy. They've got real issues in Russia they're dealing with, and they've got their own war to deal with. So what we're seeing is that Iran's going to go over and go, hey, buddy, remember when we sold you weapons and it totally screwed us over? You think you can help us out? So that's what Iran's doing right now. They're walking around. Oh, hey, I'll bet money his next stop is China. He's going to go to China. Hey, China, remember all that oil we sold you and it kind of screwed us over? Hey, you think, because we're the closest, way for you to get oil, maybe you want to help us out a little bit? What's that even look like? I mean, really, what's the end game here? I mean, I know what Iran's end game is. I know what Israel's end game is. I'm not quite sure what our end game is. And I'll bet money Trump doesn't know either. So there's that. Just real quick reminder, thanks for watching, like and subscribe. I am not monetized by YouTube. I don't do sponsors. Any commercial you see is just YouTube making money off my video. So please feel free to go to my PayPal and contribute at CLSB Politics. Really appreciate it. How did Bibi talk Trump into this? Well, if any of you watched Bibi's speech, and unfortunately I did, and I'm going to have a few Guinness to try and kill those brain cells, so I'll never have that in my brain again. It was like some real weird, toxic brotherly love. It was gross. But what it did do is it just shoveled, good vibes into Trump's narcissistic mindset, because only Trump could have done this, only this and only that, and blah, blah, blah. No. It's really all that they were saying. It was just, wow, guys, get a room. You know what I mean? So the next big question is, everyone's asking, are we at war? The answer is yes. It doesn't actually matter what Trump says. He bombed a foreign sovereign nation, right? And Guess what, Republicans? The enemy gets a vote if we're in a war or not. Yeah, they do. And every time we ignore that our enemy voted to be at war with us, we get planes in buildings. Ooh, yeah, that's right. They were at war with us. We're like, Bush 1 was like, or Bush 2, sorry, was like, nah, no, we trained them. We armed them during the Afghan war. And then we dropped them like a bad habit. And then we just started helping, we just started blowing them up. So, yeah, the enemy gets a vote on whether or not we're at war. And BT dubs, Iran's voted, yeah, we're at war. What we used to go to war with them, along a few other interesting pieces of ordnance, was a GBU 57. It's called a Mass Ordnance Penetrator, or a MOP. We spent $500 million developing this during the second Bush administration. So we had it around for a while. I don't believe we've ever used it in combat before yesterday. So that's kind of a fun fact. It costs about $3.5 million to manufacture one, and we dropped more than a dozen of them. Now you guys got to understand. Go Google daisy cutter. It's a weapon they used in Vietnam, and it would cut daisy patterns in the jungle. Well, this is like a daisy cutter but underground. It penetrates about 200 yards straight down, and 200 feet straight down, and then just sends out this massive explosive shockwave that basically fractures the ground. Right, you can actually pick it up on seismographs. So, yeah, they're real big, and we dropped a little more than a dozen of them on various locations. In theory, they were all nuclear development and or storage and or production facilities. But I'll be honest, I trust this administration as far as I can throw them. So, yeah. So that's what we did. That's how we went to war with Iran. And I found this little gem. As our nation holds our collective breath as the host of a Celebrity Apprentice huddles with a WrestleMania CEO and a co-host of Fox and Friends to decide our fate. That is not a South Park episode. That is an actual reality thing that's happening right now. Blows your mind. Cannot believe it. What can we expect next? Because that's like the next big thing, right? Well, what's happening next? What can we think? Well, I would imagine we're going to have a long, protracted war. Trump will become a wartime president, almost guarantee. Keep in mind, Iraq had 45 million people. Iran has 90 million people, twice the number. It took us 16 years to get out of Iraq. So we should wrap this up about 2041 based on some very conservative math. If you want to say, oh, it's twice the size, it'll take twice as long. I don't know. Add 16 years to that. What is that? 2057? So the cool thing is, in about, 13 years from then, we can all watch Halley's Comet. That'll be fun. Yeah. So I thought I'd quote our current president. I predict that President Obama will at some point attack Iran in order to save face. Donald Trump, September 16, 2013. Yeah, it's called history. People should read it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Just a reminder, I'm not monetized by YouTube. So if you guys can spare $5 or whatever, that'd be great. It goes to PayPal at CLSB Politics. This was an interesting one. No doubt I'll be doing another show on this. All right, everyone, stay safe. Talk to you later.